Well, Senator Mike Hunt is here with us, as he is almost every year. So I thank you so much for your support year after year for the Martin Luther King luncheon.
Yes.
So what'd you think of today?
Well, you know what? I liked it today because it wasn't the early morning 7 o'clock breakfast.
Okay.
Remember when we used to do that? The lineup was great. The lineup was very. I loved Victoria when she sang.
And wasn't she gorgeous?
Oh,
I mean,
geez.
the
Like,
voice.
it just came, it was a gift. It's
Yes,
a gift.
definitely.
And then listening to the astronaut speak, Dr. Harris, Bernard Harris,
Yeah.
he said it. I mean, he didn't go off talking about as if it was a university lecture. It was down home, down to earth. That's not a. It's not a play on words when he's an astronaut, but I tell you, he said things that needed to be said.
Yes.
And he brought home, actually, the reasons why we're really here every day.
Really.
Yeah.
And what'd you think of Dr. Carlson?
Claiborne Carson.
Carlson,
also.
yes.
He left early.
He had another event to go to. He's been on 3 already before he got
Yeah.
here.
So I wanted to chat with him because he's working on the papers.
Yeah, he's at the Institute at Stanford.
Right.
You know.
And I know that he had a role in the speech "I Have a Dream."
Yes.
And
yes.
so, yeah, touching him is like touching not only the history but the possibility of the future too.
Yes.
But Dr. Carson also, when he introduced the astronaut, this funnier in hell. I mean, I was going to give him my glasses, but I thought I was supposed to give a talk, a 1 or 2 minute talk when I got my award, and I was going to quote that speech that Dr. Carson had mentioned. There was 2 or 3 paragraphs that were in Martin Luther King's last sermon about being a man of conscience.
Oh, okay.
And that was a message I wanted to leave for not only all of us, but especially for the politicians who are here. It was on March 31 of '68 when Martin Luther King gave his last sermon at the National Cathedral. It's a speech that I give to every one of my interns when they leave my office. And I circled page 9. And on that page, he talks about when he took a stand against the Vietnam War. And it was very unpopular, but it was something that needed to be said at that time. And he was the first one to speak up out against it. And someone asked, aren't you afraid that because of your position on the war that the budget for the movement will drop? And he said that, I'm not a leader to talk about consensus. He wanted to make sure that he created consensus around standing up against the war. So he closed that part of his sermon by saying, on some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it expedient? And then expedience comes along and asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? Then he says, conscience asks, is it right?
Wow.
And we have to be led by our conscience on everything that we do and say. And right now, I think the big challenge that we have before us today is not so much that we fight for equality for all, but we fight for equity of education for each and every child. So it doesn't matter where they live, what their zip code is. But if we just pay attention to the equity for each and every child, then there's not a mom that's going to say, I don't want that for my child.
Exactly.
People say it's going to be expensive, but so was the war in Iraq.
So is the war in Iraq.
And so,
Senator,
we can avoid all our youngsters going to juvenile hall, going to jail, not having a job.
Yeah.
And realize that dream that he talks about. So
thank you so much for coming and supporting us every year, and thank you for those words. They will live on forever. Yeah.
Well, it's something that I've learned just reading and studying the things that that Martin Luther King put out there for us, and but events like this it's a good reminder for us to
It is, isn't it?
recalculate and
Yeah.
refocus our compass.
And I think that's one of the reasons it's lasted so long. It's 35 years old, and it's something we need to continue. Have the public come and be united for a day. It's awesome.
Well, for a day, for the rest of the year, though.
Yes, exactly.
And that his name and his speech, "I Have a Dream," doesn't become only history, but it doesn't become so common in our thinking that we don't do something about it.
Exactly. Remind us to step forward and contribute and be of service. Move it forward, you know. So thank you again for being a part of this. Thank you.
Yeah.